This is Chef Kirsten with Mesa de Vida. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to my table of life. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make carnitas right at home. The amazing flavor you're looking for, super easy and actually a little bit healthier and lower in fat, and we're going to make them right on the stovetop. It takes about an hour and a half. I'll show you some tips and tricks to get that super juicy, succulent taste that you're looking for, the great texture, but also that little bit of crispiness on the outside, amazing flavor packed in, and so easy. I'll walk you through a little bit of other steps too if you want to make it in your slow cooker or make it in your oven if you do want to use something like a pork butt or pork shoulder roast. But today we're going to be using a sirloin tri-tip, pork sirloin tri-tip. Super affordable, 98% fat-free, and it comes together so amazing. Makes great carnitas right on your stovetop. If you love carnitas, you want to make taco night at home more often, here's how you make it. I have a pan here heating up over medium-high heat. We want to get a good sear on the pork so we get all that great golden brown flavor, golden brown delicious flavor going on. Again, I have a pork sirloin tip roast, and this is about a 2.5 pounder. And what I've done is chop it up into about 1.5 inch cubes, and then I've drained it on a paper towel. This will absolutely save your kitchen from being splattered everywhere. Definitely drain it. You can put it on paper toweling, blot the top of it, turn it a couple of times. I'm gonna go ahead and get the pan greased up a little bit. Again, this is really low fat. The pork sirloin roast is 98% fat-free, but we do need it to not stick, and try not to use non-stick pans if possible, but if you have one, don't worry about that. Go ahead and use it if that's what you prefer, but I'm going to add a little bit of ghee. Add whatever healthy oil or fat of your choice is, and we're just going to brown these up a little bit. Because this pan's a little bit small, it's probably going to take 2 to 3 batches to get it all browned up, but just work according to the size of your pan. Do not overcrowd it, and do not flip it at this point. You're going to want to let this get a nice golden brown sear on it. It will release easily from the pan when it's ready. If it doesn't release easily, it's not fully seared yet. So you definitely want to make sure you get that done. I'll show you as we work in batches what that looks like. And it's really easy. It'll just take a few minutes. So just as these finish cooking, I'm going to flip them over, cook them on the other side, set them off onto the pan again, and just proceed until I have all of the pork finished browning. Okay, we're on our last batch of pork. Everything's golden brown and delicious. Now, can you skip this part? Yes, you absolutely can. There are some mornings where I'm just chopping up the pork, putting it in the slow cooker with the Smoky Latin sauce, and walking out the door, and it will be absolutely delicious. 1000%. It will be a great, quick meal. When we get home, we're gonna have fantastic carnitas. But this is that little extra step. This is when we're having friends over. It's Saturday. I'm gonna do a little bit of cooking in the morning, make some fresh salsas, and I wanna have like a really, really good meal and just that little extra edge. That's where I'm gonna take the time and brown all this up. So I'm gonna add that last little bit. I have just now turned my heat down to low. I had it on medium, high, medium, whatever size pan you have, whatever size burner you have. Just keep it really hot and get it nice and crispy like that. And I now turn it down to low because we're going to add the sauce in, and I don't want it to splatter absolutely everywhere. So just going to get that nestled down in there. Now we're going to add the sauce. Thick, rich Mesa de Vida cooking sauce, so good. Fruits, vegetables, spices, and herbs all in the jar for you. It's like cooking from scratch, and you don't have to do any of the work. You have this little sous chef in a bottle doing it for you. So good already. Man, that smell is so good. The pork frying up smelled great, but let me tell you, this was absolutely the next level. So I'm gonna add some salt. Now you don't have to add salt if you need to have a low sodium diet. The cooking sauces are extremely low in sodium, so you control it to your own flavors, to your own preferences, to your own health needs. We like to limit our sodium, and that's why I like to cook with fresh, healthy ingredients. Like Mesa de Vida. It's one of the very, very few pantry staples you're going to find that aren't loaded with sodium. So we added a little bit of it, and I don't need a whole lot. What I added there, in essence, was about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of high-quality salt. Your preference on that, I have a sea salt here. So that is it. And the heat is down to low, and I'm just scraping up all those any little bits left on the bottom of the pot. Ooh, this smells good right now. My goodness. All right, so we are going to let this sit. I'm going to cover it up. We don't have to add any water. If you had a really large pan and not a very tight fitting lid, you might want to check it for water about halfway through the cooking point. But this is already, I'm seeing the pork is getting nice and juicy, throwing off some of its own liquid, and we're gonna have like the perfect ratio of saucy, succulent meat to crispy, delicious little bits. Can't wait for you to see it. I'm gonna pop a lid on this and check it in about 30 minutes. It's gonna cook for about an hour on low. Nice little simmer going on, and we'll be back to check on it here in just a little bit. All right, so it has been an hour. This is cooked, and let me show you what it looks like. Number one, your house is gonna smell so good. Oh my gosh, smells so good. So the pork, you can see it's been simmering. See how close up we can get. Yeah, you can see it's nice and juicy, nice and saucy, really good. And plenty of liquid here, not too much, so we're not gonna have to evaporate off a lot. You wanna cook it to this point. It took me about an hour. You see that the pork is crumbling really easily right now. It's coming apart. It's not like crazy fall apart tender, but it is just on the verge. And I'm gonna show you how to get it to that level. So, we're gonna go ahead at this point. You wanna get that crispiness back. So we're gonna crank the heat back up to like medium high to high, depending on the power. If you have one of those power burners like I have, you're not gonna wanna do it on super high. You'll burn it, you'll burn the bottom. You wanna do it like medium high, really, really crank it up, evaporate, concentrate all of that sauce. You're gonna wanna stand back, probably put on an apron, and let it cook until you start to get a little bit of crispiness on the bottom. Stir it a couple of times, and then we're going to turn off the heat, remove the pan from the heat, and pop a lid on it. So remember when I told you this was gonna take about an hour and a half. So we fried up the meat, got it nice and brown, cooked it for an hour, and now we're gonna finish this last little bit. This is gonna take just a couple of minutes to get all of the crispiness back in the bottom of it and evaporate everything. Pop the lid on it, and then let it sit for another 10 to 15 minutes. And then what that's gonna do is relax the meat again, because right now it's freaking out a little bit. It's gonna be a little bit tougher. It's gonna really tighten up a little bit. And we're gonna put the lid on it, let it relax, and it's just gonna get super juicy, succulent, and taste amazing. And I'm gonna show you what that looks like. So I'm gonna put a lid on this as soon as this is done and turn it off. What we want, that little bit of brownness happening on the bottom. We do not want it to burn. We're going to stop it right here because the meat is starting to crisp back up. We're getting that little bit at the bottom. Now we're going to cover it, turn it off first, cover it, and then we're going to let it sit off the heat for 10 minutes. All of that's going to lift back up and go into the meat. All right, this has rested for 10 minutes, and look what we have going on here. So all of the delicious bits that have kind of caramelized at the bottom have lifted now. Look, I can scrape it clean, and they've all stuck to the outside of this amazing carnitas pork. So good, you guys. What you can do is make carnitas bowls. You can shred this up, which shreds like, look at this, what just the back of a plastic silicone spatula just falls right apart. You can make tacos, obviously, like load up the tacos with these. Have everybody over. It's great leftover, mixed into omelets the next morning, burritos, enchiladas, so many different ways to use this. Can't wait to have you try it. Another thing you can do if you really do love it super crispy on the top, which is something if you really want to go for it, pop this under the broiler for just a couple of minutes and let it get super browned up and crispy on there. But that's about it. Absolutely delicious. You see how easy it was? Just a couple tricks to take it over the top. If you really truly just want to leave this to forget it and go, we could have used something like a pork butt or pork shoulder and poured the sauce over it, put it in the slow cooker or on the oven on low, and let it go all day. The oven is my very, very favorite way to do it if I'm going to use the pork butt or pork shoulder, something that's fattier, and that gives it amazing flavor. The dry heat of the oven gives it really amazing flavor and allows it to just become fall apart tender, and then you get all those little crispy bits around the edge. You want to cook it without a top on it, and the sauce will concentrate really, really well for it. But this is a quicker way to do it, and absolutely delicious. They're both amazing, just different ways to use them, and can't wait for you guys to try it. The full recipe will be at the website, and can't wait for you guys to try it yourselves. Have a great day. Bye.